I don't know if anybody knows Tom McDonald, Adam Calhoun, and Dax all made a song called Black and White, and that was pretty embarrassing for Dax. I will say that. I won't say that much. That was pretty crazy. For those who don't know, Tom McDonald, first of all, he's somebody who married his way into the Rockefeller family, but now he comes out as this anti-woke rapper, and I'm actually for the little guy. I'm conservative, but I'm preaching against the establishment and all that kind of stuff. It's silly. It's silly. And of course, Adam Calhoun, no stranger to controversy himself, but talked about he was going to retire like 3 months ago, and now he's putting out a whole nother project with Tom McDonald and Dex. Like I said, very embarrassing on his part. The song is called Black and White, and I don't have like the lyrics pulled up or anything like that, but I'll get into them because it's pretty wild. Let's see. Yeah, it's trying to prop my phone up, and it's all some problems and stuff. But anyway, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like I said, pretty embarrassing for Dax being the only black man on the song and like kind of condoning everything that's going on. It's pretty wild. But like I said, I don't want to put words in their mouth, so I'll go ahead and pull them lyrics up. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Where is that at? Yeah, let's go to the lyrics. I don't want to play the song because of copyright and all that kind of stuff, and quite honestly, I don't really want to hear it. But let's go lyrics. Bitch, yeah, let's see. Okay, yeah. So starts with Tom, and yeah, they're all just talking about like white boy stuff, and that's like what they say on the hook, on some white people S word, and not stuff, but that's generally what they're talking about. Start start with Tom McDonald, of course. Pop in the trunk. 10 of my buddies are already drunk. That kind of stuff. I said like 200 bikers, and they were my brothers, like stuff like that. Chain smoking. My lungs hurt. My neck red. Got sunburned. You know, just white people stuff. And then you get to Adam Calhoun. A lot of the same stuff. More of the same. Looked up to dudes with tattoos and rap music, of course, like that. Stuff like that. It says, men, okay, but now we're canceled. Look at us like, look at them. Pull your pants up, dumbass. Kids got no answer. So that's some of that white people stuff. But yeah, you get to Dax, and he's like, I've been effing with Tommy. What does it say? It says, let's see the part that I heard that I was like, wow. It says, I'm not that mad at the past. I mean, it was only a couple of centuries. He said, well, actually, I'm pissed. Why would that be my identity? Yeah, I'd rather, coast off the conservatives. That's where the money's at. He said, so on behalf of all blacks, I forgive. I don't know if Dax really has the power to do that, but that's certainly I heard that. I was like, dang, that's crazy. Yeah, it's pretty wild video too, because it's like Dax is just like all alone, like sitting off in a corner while they're on some white people stuff. Oh man, but yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So, but yeah, Dax does not have the power to forgive sins of the past centuries. That's pretty ridiculous. So with that, let's go ahead and get into some scriptures. All right. And this is something real heavy right here. Revelation 13. Revelation 13, starting with verse 9. If you read Revelation 13, you'll see that it's about the European colonies and America. That's what it's about. That's what a lot of Revelation is about. Starting with verse 9, though. Revelation 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. All right, so it's not just talking about hearing, it's talking about understanding. Verse 10, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints. And we talk about this all the time, about the judgment that Christ is bringing to the earth when he comes. All right. So all this that America has done, the genocide of the so-called American Indians, the slavery of the so-called blacks, all that the European colonies has done, that has to be paid for. All right. And obviously they are yet to give any type of reparations because that's not going to be satisfactory. All right, God said, he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the swords. The same spirits of those people that did that stuff, going into captivity, going to be killed with the sword. That's what Christ is bringing to the earth, judgment and justice. Now, again, I do want to reiterate that not everything, not all the wickedness that they did is going to be done to them, because it's going to be done in righteousness. All right. So they did things like buck breaking and stuff like that. That's righteous people don't do that. Righteous people don't do that. So things like that. Obviously, they went very wicked, very far, but all their judgment and justice is going to be done righteously in the name of the Lord. And there's another scripture on that, Revelation. This is in Revelation. We're going to go to Psalms. It's the whole Bible talking about the same thing. It's talking about the same thing. Psalms 149. This is that new song that the chosen going to be singing. Psalms 149, starting with verse 1. Praise ye the Lord. Sing unto the Lord a new song, and his praise in the congregation of saints. Let Israel rejoice in him that made him. Let the children of Zion be joyful in their king. That's Jesus Christ. Verse 3. Let them praise his name in the dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. For the Lord take pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. Let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the high praises of God be in their mouth, and a two-edged sword in their hand. All right, that is to bring judgment upon the world. Verse 7, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishments upon the people. That's what the army of God will be doing, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. All right, that's that captivity that Revelation was talking about. Verse 9, to execute upon them the judgment written. This honor have all his saints. This honor have all his saints. Praise ye the Lord. And in the previous chapter in Psalm 148, you see the saints again. It's talking about the 12 tribes of Israel. All right, so that's what the Bible speaks about. It speaks about kingdoms of the world, and it talks about the transition of those kingdoms into God's kingdom on earth. All right. So Dax does not have the power to forgive those sins. Only God does. Only God does. And God's not gonna forgive everybody's judgment on the world. No, everybody's got to be judged. Everyone will be judged. All right. And that judgment, bringing forth God's kingdom, that's what we're waiting on. That's the patience of the saints, as Revelation said. All right. Praise ye the Lord. So that was one thing I seen. Kind of made me laugh and just like why? It's like they really wanted to make a song called Black and White, and they needed a token. And Dax was like, I'm here. I'll do it. It'll get me talked about. I'll do it. Man. But anyway, we'll go a little bit further on this, but probably not all night. Isaiah 14, starting with verse 1. It's talking about the same thing. Again, the same thing. We went to the Psalms where David was writing. We went to the New Testament where John the Revelator was writing. Now let's go to Isaiah. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel. Again, we see the 12 tribes of Israel, Isaiah 14, and that's where we're at, Isaiah 14, starting with verse 1. But the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. All right, and in Bible History 101, we go over that land quite often. All right, it's east of the Mediterranean. I will put it like that. And the stranger shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. So that's all the other people. They're going to cleave to the house of Jacob because they see that Jacob, meaning the 12 tribes of Israel, are in righteousness and they are God's chosen. All right, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. All right, so the same way that all the other nations have their kingdoms now, have their countries now, but the children of Israel are on the bottom, the oppressed. Another thing that I saw this week is how Arabs are genociding the Masalite tribe in Sudan. All right, they're calling it the end of days over there. All right, the oppressed and poor people. These are the people that are God's people, that are going to be in the kingdom of God and rulership. All right. It says, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. That's the same thing that's in Revelation 13. All right. It said, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. It says the same thing right here. And they shall rule over their oppressors. All right. Verse 3, and it shall come to pass in the day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage wherein thou wast made to serve. All right. So in that day, we will finally get some rest. But until then, we hope and we pray in the Lord. All right. Just one more thing on that. One more very general statement on that Christ made. Well, actually, these are what's called the Beatitudes or the Beatitudes or whatever on the sermon on the Mount. In the Sermon on the Mount, it's Matthew 5, starting with verse 3. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. All right, the poor in spirit. Let's get a little precept on that. Let's get a little scripture to go along with that. Let's get a little understanding. And Isaiah, I believe it's back to 14. Isaiah 14 and down to verse 32. What shall one then answer the messengers of the nation? That the Lord had founded Zion, which is Jerusalem, and the poor of his people shall trust in it. So it's talking about the poor Israelites. They are the poor in spirit because all of our understanding has been decimated. We have no understanding of God in this day and age. But it says, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. All right. Blessed are the meek. That means obedient to God's word. For they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Righteousness is keeping the commandments of God. All right. And they that mourn will be comforted with the scriptures. All right. Verse 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Right. So that's forgiveness. Practice forgiveness and mercy. Don't hold grudges. Verse 8. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And that might just transition us into this other thing I wanted to talk about that I just mentioned. The Arabs in Sudan are going through there and trying to wipe out, trying to force the I believe it is the Masalite tribe in Sudan. They're trying to force them out of Sudan. Now, if you've been watching this for a while, or you know anything in general about the scriptures, you know that God's people are in every nation. All right. And just to prove that real quick, I'm going to go to Acts 2 and verse 5. And there were dwelling at Jerusalem Jews, devout men out of every nation under heaven. So that was 2,000 years ago. Even at that time, by that time, there were Jews in every nation. All right. That's not even talking about Northern Kingdom. That's just talking about Southern Kingdom, the kingdom of Judah. All right. So Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. in every nation, much less, like I said, Northern Kingdom, the rest of the tribes. So that Mozalite tribe, and I do want to bring this up, in an article I was reading by Reuters. I don't know who wrote it, but Reuters is the website it was on. Where is this about the? I have to look it up. It's not here on the front page because why would it be? Let's see. So, yes, this is the title of this article is, go up to the top. Arabs kill. Come on, what is it? No, I believe it's called Arabs killing. I was trying to do this whole gimmick. Let's go back. It's called How Arab Fighters Carried Out a Rolling Ethnic Massacre in Sudan. That's what it's called. Let me pull this up because there's some good parts of this article, but it is like doing this whole gimmick where they have like this format at the top they're trying to stick to, and it's pretty terrible. But you got some good information. It says people killed in their homes, in the streets, and in mosques. Women and girls raped. Hundreds of thousands fleeing Sudan. Arab fighters scorning ethnic Africans as quote-unquote slaves. They called them Abnai or Abni. Survivors risking their lives to bury the dead. Now, that is very reminiscent of one Tobit from the scriptures. That's what he did for his brethren in Assyria. It says the slaughter of El Janina, or Janina, however you pronounce that. How Arab fighters carried out a rolling ethnic massacre in Sudan. It said, as Sudan plunged into civil war, the ethnic African Mozalite tribe came under weeks of systematic attacks in West Darfur by the paramilitary RSF and allied militias. In the city of El Janina, at least 1,000 bodies were buried in Al Gabat Cemetery, which filled with hastily dug mass graves. All right, so that's just what they have on record. It's 1,000, probably more than that at this point. All right. So it says they were determined to bury their dead, even if the snipers on the surrounding rooftops meant they were risking their lives to do so. All right, so they're risking their lives to bury their dead because it was always a custom in Israel. It was always a custom to bury the dead and not cremate them, and not to just leave them around, or else it defiles everything around everybody who touches them. I'll add you guys, though. I see you. Says you're having technical issues.
Hey, shalom, bro. Most High in Christ blood.
Yeah, I was trying to find a place to set my phone down, but since it's being charged, since it's charging right now, it's not really cooperating. How about now? Can you see me the same way, or I look upside down?
You're upside down.
Dang, I was hoping that was gonna work. What's going on with you, man?
Not much, bro. I'm just working and trying to maintain.
Yeah, I hear you on that. But
that's about all. Not you. Where you at?
I'm in Tallahassee.
Still in Tallahassee. Till next weekend?
Here until next Thursday.
All right. I'll be here all week.
Do what?
I'll be here all week.
Yeah, and probably after that too, if I had to guess.
I ain't got no plan to go nowhere.
Well,
I'll
that's where we differ, I guess.
I'm kind of dug in.
Yeah, firmly planted. Um, but yeah, is there anything that you wanted to ask, talk about, or discuss this week?
Uh, no, not in particular. With it in and out the feast, and we did our stuff on the feast, and just whatever you got in mind. Eventually, I'm gonna finish. When I get time, I'm gonna finish. The classes I was working on, but I'm gonna have to make time and go back and read them. Read through them and timestamp, or mark them, mark down where. That whole process.
Yeah, yeah. So you're not ready to continue that lesson.
I mean, I could, but not the way I want to do it.
Got you, got you. So yeah, yeah. Work on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen what I was going into before you got on.
No, I just got on here and then sent that request. I just heard you just for a second.
Got you, got you, got you. So yeah, I was bringing out how in Sudan the the Arab inhabitants are basically genociding or trying to at least the Mozambique tribe of the area. Just
In Sudan.
in Sudan. It doesn't really. I haven't really seen a reason why there. It's just a civil war, that broke out. Obviously, there's going to be conflict in that, but why specifically target this tribe? No, I know it's biblical, but other than that, I
Right.
don't know their reasoning behind it. I don't know
Right.
what they tried to say about it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Their excuse
Yeah,
as
I
to
don't know their excuse. I don't know how they're trying to justify it. To be honest, it just seems like, but I was about to say something, but no, it just seems, cruel.
right. Well, he is the devil.
Yeah, yeah, that's Ishmael. That's Ishmael. Uh,
Yeah. Okay. That's Ishmael doing that.
yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah. I got this article pulled up. I'll start back from the top. The Reuters. I'm reading it on Reuters. I probably should have went to Al Jazeera, to be honest with you, but Reuters got this whole gimmick on this particular article. How it starts off a particular way, and they're doing it for like showmanship or whatever.
Oh
But
yeah.
it
No,
starts
dramatic
off,
fire.
it starts off with this particular format where the only thing you can read until you scroll down is people killed in their homes, in the streets, and in mosques. Women and girls raped. Hundreds of
Right.
thousands fleeing Sudan.
So
Arab
like.
scorning ethnic Africans as quote unquote slaves.
Right.
Survivors risking their lives to bury the dead, and then it goes into the title, The Slaughter of El Janina, How Arab Fighters Carried Out a Rolling Ethnic Massacre in Sudan.
How?
So I was
Who
I was
carried
getting
it
into
out?
do what?
Who they carried it out?
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Who'd you say carried it out?
Um what the Arab ethnic knows the Arab fighters carried out. Yeah, just as Arab fighters.
Okay, so just some clicks of Ishmael.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure we can get into yes. This man saying paramilitary RSF and allied militias. So I don't know
Right.
if
So
RSF is.
You got Esau and Ishmael being the whooping stick for Israel over there in
Yeah,
Sudan.
I'm sure there's like money from Esau back in it, but I'm pretty sure it's
Absolutely,
all just Ishmael food, boots on the ground. You know what I mean?
absolutely, bro. When they start talking about them mercenary allied, bro, allied. Anytime they throw that shit in there, or excuse my French, all the way back to World War I and II,
Yeah.
and then also they got them three either Arab fighters or whatever you say, they will establish these organizations or their own form of these mercenary groups, just with the Ishmaelite spin on it. And yeah, they've been doing that shit over there since they've been over there messing around in the 50s. As
Yeah.
far as working on, well, I say that's probably been at least a 100-year process of the Suez Canal. And
Well, yeah. All the drawing up of the Middle East, what we call it today, that all that since the fall of the Ottomans, they have
right,
just they
exactly.
being America and Britain and maybe a little France, but mostly America and Britain, just been carving up that land over there, however they see fit, with the assistance um and the support of Ishmael over there. You know.
You're right, certain groups, and
Yeah.
then of course you got certain groups who's completely anti,
Yeah.
and that's how you get stuff like the Taliban and ISIS, Al Qaeda. You know,
Yeah.
these different groups that form, and
That
either act by Esau
yeah,
or
that are
completely
retaliating
right.
against what's been happening over there.
Exactly. Yeah,
But
but that's their plan everywhere, bro. Like the same, like with Britain, bro. That's been the world stage since the Renaissance era. You know, you got Britain; they'll go first, dip their toes in the water, and then here come behind them America, not only studying to see how they did it and how they can do it better. Remember, they search out iniquities and accomplish a diligent search. Like, bro, this all these they got groups of people. This is all they do
yeah,
is study. You know,
yeah, the
or
think tanks
yeah,
and the war rooms
there
and
you
things
go.
like that.
The war room, these generals, like I told that 5-star general, and he give his opinion, and it wasn't the popular one, and they said he didn't get invited back in the rooms no more. Whenever he said, they started calling him the African something something, and it's something like we're talking about, where they went over there in Africa and established a mercenary group, and they called him African something, and he was saying how that's offensive. Wouldn't you be offended if and like used it in context, call it the Caucasian, whatever, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they did not like that and kicked him out. And they named it African, whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
didn't ask him back in there after he told him that. Like, just use your common sense. Like, why would you want to provoke these people, even by just the name you put on them?
yeah.
Like, bro, he was using common sense and logic on how, like, Esau can long term prosper instead of these mugs you got just
Yeah,
stirring and trying
they didn't
to throw them.
accept the council.
Huh?
They didn't accept the council.
No, absolutely not, bro. You think Esau's good with reproof?
No,
Right.
but yeah, they had to keep the African label on it to honor their forefather, Scipio
There
Africanus,
you go.
Roman, who
Instruct
beat
me
him.
to sow confusion and destruction mentally amongst us.
Yeah,
So
I
it,
mean,
like, bro, it accomplishes multiple goals just by one follow through action.
but yeah, man, there's in this article it says they, meaning the Mazalit tribe, right, the tribe that's being persecuted, says they were determined to bury their dead, even if the snipers on the surrounding rooftops meant they were risking their lives to do so.
Right.
Uh, It says to give themselves cover, they buried the dead at night, putting multiple bodies in some hastily dug graves. They worked quickly, forced to dispense with much of Islamic burial practice as they placed fathers, mothers, sons, daughters, and neighbors in the ground.
Right.
The bodies revealed the brutal ways their lives had ended. Some were burned beyond recognition, some were missing limbs, others had gashes across the throat. But yeah, about burying the bodies like that, does that remind you of anybody?
I was gonna say, how it's a commandment for us to bury our dead the same day they die.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly. Specifically, um, but yeah, that is a commandment. That is a commandment to bury the dead the same day. Um, but specifically, I'm thinking of Tobit. Um, this is Tobit chapter 1. I want to start there talking about Tobit,
Uh,
um, because Tobit did the same thing.
right.
He buried the dead whenever
Right.
the Assyrians were slaughtering the
Right.
Israelites. He
Right.
buried the
And he was, putting his brick in that way.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So Tobit 1, start with verse 16 for me.
1:16.
Yeah.
All right. The book of Tobit, chapter 1 and verse 16. There we go. All right. Bam. And in the time of in the messer, or, yeah, in the messer, I gave many alms to my brethren, and gave my bread to the hungry, and my clothes to the naked. And if I saw any of my nation dead or cast about the walls of Nineveh, I buried him.
You see that right there? So if he found any dead Israelites that the Assyrians had killed, he would bury them.
Right.
He would bury them. Keep reading.
All right. And I was just gonna point out also what he did. It starts off with what he gave alms, he gave his bread to the hungry, gave his clothes to the naked.
Yes, exactly. So that's just burying the dead is just one of the alms deed that Tobit did. Tobit was, he was about that life. He was about helping people. It was
Right.
about, feeding the hungry. He was about putting clothes on the people who needed new clothes,
Exactly.
that needed clothes.
He's
But,
about
burying the dead,
helping his people.
yeah, he was about helping his people. And that's why he buried the dead.
Right.
That was always the custom of the Israelites to bury the dead and not just leave the body lying around.
Right. Like
And
he did.
that's what the Masolite tribe is still doing today, or at least trying to.
Right. And like at nighttime, he's supposed to do it, that day.
Yes.
So first chance they got, under a cover of darkness, they went out there and did it.
That's right. Do it that day. Which is, the complete opposite of what America does, where they take out all your organs and then load up your body with embalming fluid to
Right.
keep you around for a few days until everybody can see your corpse. That's
right.
crazy.
But did we not learn that in Egypt?
Yes, they do the embalming. But even they were not as bad as America does with taking out all your organs.
Bro, not just that, bro, just the way that they just for no reason will be lingering and take weeks to have a funeral and get a body buried, bro. My coworker Tommy, the old man that works with me, his wife
Yeah.
just passed away last Monday morning, and he got her cremated, but it still cost him either $1,400 or $1,700, and he's doing a little funeral service at his house this weekend, and and dude, just to get the box was 15. It was anywhere from $1,400 to $1,700.
Yeah,
Cremated.
yeah. The cremation is actually the cheapest way
That's what
to
I'm
hold
saying. That's what we was talking about, and
a.
that's what he was saying. And I was like, just think about that, bro. The way that they are robbing the righteous or the needy. You know what I mean? Bro, when somebody dies, you just need to do what you got to do to get them buried.
Man, and you you touching on something heavy there because Scripture always talks about making it easier on the lives of widows and orphans.
Exactly.
And an orphan is somebody whose parents just died or parents have died.
That's what
And a widow, obviously, is someone whose husband just died. A woman whose husband just died.
Bro, who is that? Both of those, an orphan, somebody whose parents are dead,
Mm-hmm.
and a widow or a widower, somebody's spouse who's died. Bro, that's all old people. Their parents are dead, and their spouses die.
Yeah.
So that's whoever's doing that to the old people, like Tommy. He ain't gonna be there Monday because he's got to be home to get a call from Social Security so he can start drawing his Social Security check. And he's 62, 63.
Yeah.
And bro, he looks like 90 something. And like I said, his wife just died. And dude, somebody called the cops on him, and the cops came out and said his dog was malnourished, and he himself is an old. He looks like, bro, he's 62 or 3.
He looks malnourished.
He looks right. Seriously, bro, I guarantee you, he's not 90 pounds.
Wow.
Bro, he's sick. He lives off cigarettes and Mellow Yellow.
Dang, that's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
But you can tell he's Israelite because the curse is beating him down, boy. But yeah, that was the cheapest form for him, and he's already paying these fines out to Yin Yang and can't get his dog back. They done come and took his dog.
His dog. Dang.
Endangered dog from malnourishing it. And then his wife dies, and then he has to come out of pocket that $1,400 to $1,700. We was all trying to pitch in at work. Everybody throw a couple dollars.
Yeah.
We got $300-400 together for him.
Sure.
And what you call it? What was I going to say? But yeah, and then he's got court coming up again because the money he was fixing to pay off that mess with, he had to take and get his wife cremated.
Yeah.
And like I'm telling you, bro, it's just beating him down everywhere he turns.
But yeah, 9 times out of 10, it will be the husband who goes first
Right.
in a marriage. So
Right.
that's literally putting all the stress on the widow.
Exactly.
You know?
But I think of it like in my own situation, like that was the Most High. Not only giving her the chance to like actually repent without Paul being around, but also giving her them little 5 years to herself after being married and doing her job so long.
Yeah, she was a good wife to
Great wife.
But yeah, you also got to think that Papa, he's not only him, but I guess his whole generation was men going to these very laborious jobs. He worked at Plano's forever, we know, but he also did a whole bunch of other jobs before that, and just beating down his body for like 40 years. So
right.
I mean, it's gonna take a toll. It took him out first.
Exactly. And like, bro, like he was the breadwinner. My mom, she worked what she had to them 20 years, a brown shoe in the factory sewing.
Yeah, but then she stopped after that and started, running, chasing kids around and stuff. So
yeah, but she always drew a check off that of retirement.
Yeah, for sure.
Like after Social Security started, I don't know how the hell she pulled that one off, but all praise Most High always provide for us. But
yeah, she it's because she got in, did her 25 years early.
Right.
You could go to any factory, and if you work for 25 years, you can draw a retirement. You can draw a pension. It's not going to be much, but it'll be a pension.
Like some places, it ain't much at all. No. But like that's one reason Mom says she keeps working. Or like recently, she tried to say she ain't been saying that, but about how she's trying to get it to where she'll draw the same amount once she retires as she does when she's working.
Yeah. Let's get back on track though with Tobit.
Right.
Pick back up where you left off on that.
Was 18? Yeah. All right. And if the king Sennacherib had slain any when he was come and fled from Judea, I buried them privately, for in his wrath he killed many, but the bodies were not found when they were sought for of the king.
So by the king had just slaughtered all these different Israelites, right? All these people, because he just loved doing that. He got mad, whatever the case may be. But when he looked on his crusades that he would go on his exploits, Tobit would bury those dead.
Right.
Because
as he would go on down, Tobit come behind him.
And so when he comes back, he's like, "Where's all my dead bodies that I left lying around?"
Right.
And so now Tobit's in trouble. So
right, because he sees the destruction he caused.
Yeah.
And keep going. And when one of the Ninevites went and complained of me to the king that I buried them and hid myself, understanding that I was sought for to be put to death, I withdrew myself for fear.
Right. So Tobit had to go into hiding. The same as the people who, as it says here, to give themselves cover, they buried the dead at night. So they had to, because if they were out there during the daytime, they would have been killed too.
That's what I was going to say. They'd be with them.
Yeah. The same as Tobit. If he didn't wait until after Sennacherib left to bury the bodies, he would have become one of them bodies.
Exactly. And like, what you call it? You talking about there were snipers?
Yeah.
And all that kind of crap?
That's right. I'm going to keep reading on this a little bit. It says, the flow of corpses was constant. On April 24th, school teacher Abdel Majed Abdullah says he helped carry 52 bodies wrapped in blankets, 27 men, 16 women, and 9 children.
Right.
And lined them up in newly dug pits on the 27th of April. Surgeon Kamal Adam says he accompanied the body of his slain father, shot dead inside his own home, and placed him in one of the 3 large pits along with 107 other bodies.
Right.
On the 29th of April, 56 more were buried.
Right.
On May 7th, lawyer Khalid Ismail attended the burial of 85 people, including a colleague who says he was burned alive, who he says was burned alive, a colleague of Khalid, who said he was burned alive after attackers locked the man in his home and set it alight. So, these Arabs and these militias, these Ishmaelites, they're coming through killing people inside their homes.
Exactly, because brother, you got to think about it. Especially them set up with them three name agencies. That's definitely, like I said, that's a little Edomite intervention there, training. So you got to think about it. And Esau will tell you, and like they're doing a lot of stuff right now in Africa because they're standing up against them, especially when it comes to that gay stuff.
Yeah.
And bro, like ever since then, they've had like militia groups going through and like hitting private church schools and all kind of stuff. But like mainly, every single time, bro, hitting some kids, making sure they kill some kids. And that's how you get stuff done the fastest, because that's what makes people pay attention the most and want to fix the problem most. And they're hoping they put that pressure on them that way. So then in the light, their politicians can come out and be the savior when it's Esau behind the scenes pulling the strings. The damn devil, boy.
I'm telling you. I'm going to keep reading on this. It said the burials in Al Gabat Cemetery continued for more than 7 weeks, from late April till mid-June, turning the rectangular plot into a sprawling mass grave for at least 1,000 residents of the Sudanese city of El Ganina in West Darfur. So this is on the Chad-Sudanese border is where this is at. The carnage, according to dozens of eyewitness accounts, was the result of more than 50 days of attacks on the city's majority ethnic African tribe, that's the Mazalit tribe, by Sudan's Rapid Support Forces, RSF, a paramilitary force drawn largely from Arab groups and allied Arab militias known as Janjaweed.
Right.
And I just wanted to get to this part right here where it says the killing frenzy reached a climax over several days in mid-June as El Janina was turned into quote-unquote swamps of blood,
right,
according to one survivor. Another described the bloodletting as the end of days.
Right, exactly.
So the people that's there, they know what's going on. They know it's the last days. They know that this is persecution.
Absolutely. And brother, like I'm saying, that's one reason why a lot of countries are getting hit like that with these militia groups, and it's because for one, they ain't been in on that gay stuff. BRICS is rising up. You got more and more and more countries out there. Esau getting more and more scared, but also what? Mad. But this is you're saying it's Ishmael, but just like that's a very a similitude with Sennacherib here. What does it say? In his wrath he killed many.
Yep.
But they run around mad, bro.
Yeah. It ain't just Esau that's mad that the Israelites are rising up. It's Ishmael, it's Moab.
Ishmael, right, exactly. I'm specifically saying Esau. I'm saying speaking of end of days and how it's heading. But as far as this story being Ishmael, that's a similitude with Sennacherib being from Medo Persia.
No, Sennacherib, I believe, was a Syrian.
Oh, he was a Syrian?
Yeah, that's a Syrian.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going to jump down a little bit and just get to certain points. Verse, it's not a verse. It's a different paragraph. Starting with, it was a rolling ethnic killing campaign that lasted for weeks. The target, the city's dark skin. The what?
You said ethnic killing campaign?
Yes.
So that lets you go right there. It's based off of race of people.
Yes. Listen,
right.
The target, the city's darker-skinned Mazalit tribe, for whom West Darfur is their historical homeland. The Arab attackers, multiple survivors said, often referred to the Mazalit as Anbai, meaning slave. Crazy. As it says, that West Darfur is their historical homeland. That's what they said about the Gadites.
Right, exactly.
The Edomites coming through here, slaughtering all the Gadites, all the American Indians, forcing them from their homeland into forced migrations into these ethnic killing campaigns.
Exactly. Bro, that's all it was. And then the smallpox blankets. In peace, he destroyed many.
Yeah.
Like the peace treaties. And bro, just think about it. You ever just sit and think, it wasn't just so-called, not so-called, but really Gad here in this land. Mexico went all the way up into California. All, bro, like I guarantee you, it was a lot of Northern Kingdom, you know, living amongst each
Oh, of
other.
course. There was this
Yeah,
whole mix, you know. There's that whole in Lost Tribes and Promised
right.
Lands. I don't think we've been through that on here before, but
No, man, on these lives.
yeah, when the Spaniards pulled up to Florida, it was they were saluted in a Hebrew greeting.
Right,
And
exactly.
then they said, "We're the tribe of Reuben and
Right,
Ephraim," or rather, they said Joseph is on an island nearby.
exactly, Joseph. Yeah,
So all the tribes, and even the tribes that were in West Africa, were always trading and
right.
meeting with one another over here in the West. That was always going on throughout the Middle Ages.
Yeah, I was going to say. I guarantee you that's been going on since Solomon. I mean, since we come over here during during time of Esdras and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, during the days of Ezra, I would say.
But
But
based off the routes that was established by Solomon. You know, Solomon seen the times and he was seen the lands. So
yeah,
I guarantee it's been going on since Solomon.
yeah. So
Or not since Solomon. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like based off
I
on
know
the
what you're
route,
saying as far as trade routes and things like
right?
that.
Navigation.
Navigation, yeah. That's just about what I want to get into in this article. I'm sure there's plenty of good information in this article, but we're gonna roll on past this. Just touch on some of the things that we've read in here.
Bro, let me ask a question. Like, what does it say? Like, you just said it's an ethnic killing camp, but why? Like, what did they do to Ishmael?
I'm still yet to find that out. If I find it, I'll let you know.
What?
I
Like,
don't know, man. Sudan has been a hectic place since the Civil War broke out a few years ago. I
right?
don't know why they're specifically targeting the Mozambique
I,
tribe. No
I do.
clue.
I
I
do.
mean,
You just tell me.
yeah, I know why. I don't know why they try to
Right,
justify it, or how
right,
they
right.
justify
What they're saying to justify it. That's a better way to
it.
put it. No
No
idea.
idea.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like
It,
that's what you was looking for. Like you don't know what they're saying to
no.
justify it. Like you know why, but
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it is just a strict, you know, similar to the American Indians over here of we want your land, get out.
right. Exactly,
Maybe
bro. It's
that
like they're
simple. I
already
don't
over
know.
there fighting over it. Like it's I'm sure it's sections of the family of Ishmael, and then of course you always got Esau hovering around that he's in power, and you know these got these people fighting over here over this land, and they probably found out this Israelite tribe's over here, and it's somewhere near their homeland still, not bothering nobody. Well, let's get them.
Yeah, something like that, dude. But yeah, like I said, since like mid to late 2010s, there's been a civil war going on in Sudan where the south of Sudan was tired of the Ishmaelites in the north ruling over,
Exactly.
and
Right.
they
Trying to
they thought
like
that
they've been doing since the Islamic slave trade, bro.
yeah, yep, since the sub-Saharan slave trade,
Right.
sometimes called the trans-Saharan slave trade, but yeah,
There you go.
um, that's slowly still going on today.
Yeah.
Been going on for 1,000
Right.
years.
I was just reading that, or I was watching a video IUIC did a few Sabbaths ago about Islam and about our people following Islam, and like, bro, it did the history, and like Muhammad was down with society at the time, which had us in slavery, and like the way that Islamic slave trade been going on since the 600s.
Yep.
Since 600s, they just made it illegal over there or passed a law in 2007,
Mm-hmm.
but the article was from April or May of 2023
Yeah.
saying they're still trying to get it under control based off of financially supported by money funded by the United Nations.
Yeah. I can believe that. Especially in like Yemen and
Yeah, like all around over there. Like, but still to this day, that was a couple months ago, they're still trying to stop them from selling their slaves in an open market.
yeah, that's still going on in Libya.
Right.
Um,
Like, bro, think about that. That is, and our people want to be Muslim though. They love that Muslim, Islam, Allah, Allah, Allah.
they do love the NOI, the Nation of Islam. They love
Exactly,
the
bro.
Nation of Islam.
And bro, just think about it. How long they've been putting us or beating us down, putting us in captivity, killing us, murdering us, persecuting us, and then compare that to Esau.
Yeah.
Just this most recent time, just to say from the Renaissance. Hell, look at Ishmael, been going on since 600.
Yeah.
It's fucking ridiculous, bro.
Yeah. Give me. Get that in Jeremiah 3 and 2.
All right. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 3, and the second verse. Here we go. All right. Lift up thine eyes unto the high places, and see where thou hast not been lying with.
Right. So God said, look up to all the different churches, mosques, temples, synagogues that are built, and see where we, meaning the 12 tribes of Israel, has not been idolatrous.
Right.
We've been in all the religions.
All of them. All right. In the ways hast thou sat for them, as the Arabian in the wilderness. And thou
Right.
hast
People in Islam, man, people that's into Islam, that kind of stuff, they think they're Arabian, bro. They want to be Arabian. Even if they don't realize it, they subconsciously, they want to be Arabian.
Right. That's what I'm saying, like, bro, like, they don't get it, but they're clinging to the bastard son of Abraham instead of the rightful heir-born son.
Exactly. Following Ishmael instead of Isaac and Jacob. But yeah, man, it's the same as the people in Christianity who worship white Jesus.
Exactly.
They subconsciously want to be white. They subconsciously love and worship white Jesus.
Exactly. Esau, their enemy. But yeah, you want me to finish this out?
Yeah, finish out that verse.
All right, I'm going to start back at the semicolon. Okay. In the ways hast thou sat for them, as the Arabian in the wilderness, and thou hast polluted the land with thy whoredoms and with thy wickedness.
Thy whoredoms, thy spiritual and literal whoredoms, and thy wickedness. All right. Pivoting back just for a second. This is Deuteronomy 21. This is the law that why they're burying the dead. Start with verse 22.
All right. You said 21 and 22?
Yeah. Deuteronomy 21, verse 22.
Yes. Alrighty. All right. And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, 21 and 22?
Yeah, start with 22.
Yeah. All right. And if a man have committed a sin worthy of death, and he be to be put to death, and thou hang him on a tree,
right. So stop right there. So this is saying if a man gets put to death for his sins, right? All these people who were being killed in this Mozalite tribe, they're not keeping the commandments of God. They're in Islam.
Right.
So God brought these evil people, these Arabs, these militias, to kill these people as a judgment. All right. Not that these people were the most wicked of all the Israelites, but that all of us are worthy of that judgment.
Right. Exactly. And bro, also the unlucky ones. What'd you say?
I said these are just the unlucky ones.
Absolutely. Or the ones up to bat at the moment. But bro, just think about it. The Most High, who's he using? That same nation we look to save us.
Yep.
To come through and kill us.
Yep. And we about to get that here in a minute.
All right. Verse 23. His body shall not remain all night upon the tree, but thou shalt in any wise bury him that day. For he that is hanged is accursed of God, that thy land be not defiled, which the Lord thy God giveth thee for an inheritance.
Right. So they're burying those bodies because you will defile the land. If dead bodies just remain in the streets, if dead bodies aren't buried that same day, the land is defiled.
Right. And bro, just think about it like the song by what's her name? Billie
Holiday.
Yeah, Billie Holiday. Strange Fruit. Like, bro, I guarantee you that plays into why the Most High is going to destroy America and it never be inhabited again.
Oh, absolutely.
Defiled by us hanging on the trees.
It's all these sins of America as far as being built upon the bones of the Israelites built
bones and
on the blood and the bones of the Gadites, and built off the sweat and the labor, which
right,
was never paid for, of the Judites.
right, right. I'm gonna say all Israel, bro. They enslaved us
Yeah,
all, and like walked Gad down. Like, bro, ain't no like we was all enslaved. It was built on the backs of the 12 tribes, like
yeah.
Egypt.
I'm just saying it'd be kind of, you'd be perplexed to try to find evidence of Naphtali being enslaved up
Oh
here in America, but
yeah,
you
but
know.
yeah. You wanna get real
But yeah, I
technical with
get what you're saying 100%, because you go out west, and I used to have, well, I, I had seen an article at one point. I'll put it like that. I had seen an article at one point. I'd have to go back and find it, but that article that talked about all the lynchings of so-called Mexicans that happened out west that
it.
nobody
Yeah,
talked.
exactly.
When you hear about lynching, and in America, you think of blacks being lynched in America,
Right.
but it also happened to Mexicans out west. Like what you were just
Exactly.
talking about, Mexico used to go all the way to California and all the way
Right.
to Utah, Nevada, all that kind of stuff. And when
Right.
the
It
Americans were
almost
taking the land from the Mexicans, they were lynching them and driving
right.
them south.
That's why I was gonna say, bro. Like not just the Mexicans, but like all of us that was here when they was coming across us. Like, bro, that's what they was doing. And I was about to say, how do you think that they expanded their border and shrunk what they call Mexico's border? By wiping them
Yeah.
out
By the
and taking their
sword.
exactly. And like Isaac blessed them. But at the same time, yeah, bro, it went almost all the way up to Canada. Like what they would consider the land of Mexico, or had Israelites, all the way up.
Yeah,
And
it was pretty north. It was pretty north. But yeah, that's why Christ had to be hanged on a tree, so he could put on that curse, as it says right here. Everyone who is hanged is accursed of God. All that that's
right,
happening over there is a curse.
right, exactly.
That's,
That's exactly what it is, bro. But just I was gonna say earlier when they come over here and they greeted them with Hebrew greeting and stuff, how it was still ingrained in us to that point after being over here so long, how that was passed
yeah,
down. So we could have been keeping commandments. That lets you know right there, bro. We could have been doing right. We
yeah,
chose not to be.
exactly, exactly. Yeah, and if you read Lost Tribes and Promised Lands, by, I forget who it's by. Do you remember who it's by?
Uh, it's a goofy Edomite name, but not right off my head. I don't.
Okay, but
I
anyway,
know it's
Lost Tribes of Promised Land is the name of the book that talks about it. There's a couple other books that talk about it, but it's specifically when Spaniards came over here, they had the Hebrew translators on the boats because they
right.
knew that they were coming over here to see. But they said
Exactly.
that this particular Reubenite, he was speaking in the quote unquote Indian language to his fellow, brothers, his Reubenite brothers. He was speaking to them in the quote unquote Indian language. But then when the Hebrew translator asked him something in, the Hebrew dialect, that's when he turned on the Hebrew dialect and
Right.
started rehearsing the scriptures.
Dang. So, bro, automatically start quoting.
Yeah.
Right. Think about it. All praises.
Yeah.
But, bro, of course, bro, they
There's
because
always
Ezra.
been. Go ahead.
I said, you said they knew who they was coming over here for. Of course, because Ezra's.
Yeah. Yeah. Because of Ezra.
Right. Because Ezra. There you go.
Yeah. Yeah. They read Ezra, specifically Columbus. He was obsessed. Again, if you read that book, Lost Tribes and
Right.
Promised Land, it reveals a lot.
Exactly.
But Columbus's journals, in of itself, he was obsessed with the chapter of Second Ezra 13.
Exactly.
Obsessed with, and so much that he viewed himself as, how the prophecy in the first part of that chapter talks about Christ coming back. He viewed himself like he was the Christ.
Yeah, bro. What did he do? He worked with Esau in tandem to make him that figure. Like, bro, he gets a day. Like they say Jesus gets a day.
Yeah, man. It's crazy. But maybe we'll get into that some other time.
Some of these people, and what's bad is some of them Israelites just destroyed because confusion. But saying like Christopher Columbus is black, and like this is one guy.
Heard some people say that.
Yeah, absolutely, bro, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, like bro, that's what Esau's doing. Like he's flooding it all. He's got this guy named Dane Calloway, whether he knows it or not. He's either a controlled opposition or just oblivious to the fact. But like since he realized and got some evidence of the people who was already over here, the Northern Kingdom was darker skinned, he thinks us going into slavery on ships is a myth, and we was all already over here and stuff.
I've seen some stuff like
And bro,
that as well. As far as the
like he's got a following, like at least 100,000 subscribers. Like
wow,
motherfuckers putting him up.
that's crazy. That's
Yeah, and like, yep, and bro, and I just want to be telling him, like, as soon as his videos start off, like his whole, like all praise the brother got a fervent spirit, but either, like I said, either he's controlled opposition and he knows he's wrong in pushing this, or somebody just needs to set his brother down and Lord's way got some understanding and humble himself and get the true knowledge, because all his videos, bro, not even a minute in, would be scrapped based on.
And you know that's why people are watching it, because
Exactly.
he's insane takes. So even if he found out, he probably wouldn't even change his content at that point.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, bro. And because why? Because he done built it up off of this. And like he was one of them people talking about no evidence of slave ships.
Yeah, see that's insane. Anybody who says like slavery didn't happen, or like there's no slave ships, all that kind of stuff, man, they're gone.
Right.
They're destroyed mentally.
Right. The Bible, bro, I get that. Like, bro, that's one thing I get. I understand. It's people. I mean, all praise the Most High bless me with that. But like, of course, I know. Like, bro, I don't even hold it against like people that act ignorant around me, or maybe even to me, because I know they're just destroyed. Like, bro,
you kind of got to feel sorry for them.
I do. And like, bro, like, to much is given, much is expected as well. So, me having the knowledge I got and understanding I got and the way I can communicate that, I can't be letting nothing really trip me out my body.
Right.
Especially
right. But yeah, let's continue with Zechariah 11 and 5. We went into how the Ishmaelites that's doing this over there were at one point. Well, we actually just spoke about this, how like sub-Saharan slave trade and things like that.
right.
Ishmael took over the region of what we call the Middle East now, and then
Exactly.
enslaved all the Israelites in the region, and they're still trying to commit atrocities against the Israelites in the Sudan and elsewhere.
Yeah, I wouldn't say.
What?
I said I wouldn't say trying to. I'd say very much
succeeding in their atrocities against the Israelites throughout the region. So yeah, you got that in what I'm saying, Zechariah 11:5.
Yeah, I knew Zechariah 11. I didn't know what after that.
It
said 11.
I'm going to start with verse 4. Let me look at it. Zechariah 11. Yeah, start with verse 4. It's short.
All right. The book of Zechariah 11 and 4. Thus saith the Lord my God, feed the flock of the slaughter.
Feed the flock of the slaughter. All right. Feed the flock of the slaughter, as we see the people being slaughtered over there.
Right.
All right, keep reading.
All right. Whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty.
Whose possessors, as we just talked about, those Ishmaelites have enslaved the people for centuries. You could even say millennia at this point.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah. And hold themselves not guilty, right? So they'll probably just say, oh, it's just an act of war.
No, I don't even say war. They say they're doing God's work. You know they do. This is Allah's work.
Yeah, they're on a jihad.
Right, exactly.
Keep reading.
All right. And they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not.
Right, so it says, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich. They say, Allahu Akbar, and praise Allah, because
Allah.
Yeah, that they have rejoiced over the death of these people. All right, and the captivity of these people. And that goes back to the first thing I read, which was Revelation 13 and 10. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. This is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Exactly. And bro, don't you know that them groups that's committing them atrocities, they found that tribe and studied that tribe
Yep.
and compared that tribe with Judas chapter 5.
Yeah, let's get that.
All right. And,
You want me to read it for you, or you got it?
yeah. Go ahead.
All right.
It's verse 20, I think, or start with 20 or somewhere in there.
Yeah, where do you want me to start at?
Hang on one second, let me look. All right.
You want me to start with verse 18?
Probably so. Let me check. Hang on, I'm about there. I'm gonna be there. Gotcha. Alrighty. Let's see. Yeah. No. I'm about to say. Okay, wait. All the girls they dwelt in that country many days. Yeah. Start with 17.
17?
No. Hang on. I brought them to Mount Sinai, so they dwelt in the land of the Amorites. They destroyed by their strength all of them. As a member that was your map is the hill country.
I think 17 is good to start with.
You think so? Because
It's
it
more
feels like
true.
it picks up mid point. But yeah, you're right. Because 16, I mean,
Yeah, you start getting into specifics if you go higher than that.
right. Yeah. Start 17.
All right. Verse 17. And while they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them.
Bam. When we don't sin, we prosper. Why? Because the one and only true God hates iniquity, which is sin, and show you love him, and he will show he loves you. Point blank period. If you're an Israelite. And so we prospered, and he was for us, and not allowing other nations. Or just read on, bro.
Verse 18. But when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were
Right.
destroyed in many battles, very sore.
Bam. When we wasn't keeping commandments, he did not fight for us, nor defend us, nor shield us. And what happened? We got our asses handed to us every time. All right, go ahead.
And were led captives into a land that was not theirs.
Bam. And went slavery, prisoners of war, still to this day in this land. Just try to leave this country. Just try and see the hoops and hurdles they'll make you jump through if they even let you.
Yeah, if you tried to leave this country in 2020, good luck.
Right, exactly. Exactly, bro. But I'm saying, like, even now,
Yeah.
bro, if you ain't got a passport or some kind of advantage foot in the door, like, ain't no way. They turn people down every day trying to get a passport.
And I'm pretty sure there's certain, like, if you've committed or been charged with certain crimes or felonies or whatever on your record, you can't even get a passport.
For one, it's felonies for sure, but also certain misdemeanors. Yeah. Bro, it's just a way to target Israel.
Yeah.
All right, so go ahead.
All right, I'm going to start with this part again. And were led captives into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their God was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies.
Bam. To this day, our enemies taken by the enemies. The temples of the Most High God, the true temples, the ones that not just Solomon built, but the ones we came back and rebuilt during the Medo-Persian times, all that, and then was destroyed by Rome after Christ, and yeah, all that. And then we're over here. Where do we go to try to serve the Most High? To these whore houses, call a church. So that's what they are. These whorehouse / clubs out here on the corners, where they're constantly passing around the money, just like at the strip club. They're drinking. They're definitely alcoholic beverages, and it's a lot of hysteria and stupidity. So it's hard to tell the difference. All right, go ahead.
Verse 19. But now are they returned to their God, and are come up from the places where they were scattered, and have possessed Jerusalem, where their sanctuary is, and are seated in the hill country, where it was desolate.
Bam. So this was after the time of the Medo-Persians, correct? Yeah, because Judah, yeah. Or that's Esther, got married to, what's the name?
Yeah. Yeah, this is around the same time
Right.
of the Middle Persians. So Nebuchadnezzar's son is trying to, or son or grandson is trying to
Right.
raise up the Assyrian army again, and Holofernes is an Assyrian man.
Yeah. Got you. I'm pretty sure it is his grandson too.
Yeah. I do want to read verse 20 and 21.
Yeah. That's the point.
Now, therefore, my Lord and Governor, if there be any error against his people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them.
Right. Bam. If there's any sin in us, the other nations know this, and we do not know this. If there is sin found in us, we are vulnerable and powerless, weak. We are for the taking. We are prey. We make ourselves a prey. All right. But when there is no sin found in us, no iniquity, we're keeping the laws, our holy days, doing things, thus saith the Lord, in order, then our power so far exceeds the other nations. It's literally not even funny. And obviously, with the Most High on our side, and that's game over off jump. Hell, just look at us in captivity, the way we dominate sports and entertainment. That's in captivity. So just imagine the powers unlocked with righteousness. All right, go ahead.
That's right. Verse 21. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them, and their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world.
Right, make an example out of them, trying to mess with us when we're not sinning. That would be for an example. You remember such and such? When they tried to mess with them when they wasn't sinning? Yeah, that's who you become. If you're a other nation, other race.
That's right.
Coming again when there's no iniquity found in us.
Yeah, you become Holofernes. You become, exactly. I believe it was Sennacherib who tried to come against Jerusalem, but the Lord wiped out 185,000 of his men in one night.
Exactly.
You become Ramses, chasing Moses across the Red Sea, right? And boom, here come all your army gets swept away in the water.
Right. Exactly, bro. Can you imagine that? Just like the feeling of powerlessness, from ultimate power to powerlessness. If not another encaptures that better than while they're in the middle of the Red Sea.
Yeah.
For Pharaoh, Ramses.
Right. See, unfortunately, maybe I should say fortunately, I don't know what that's like at all, because I've never had the power that he had, and all praise to the Most High, I've been brought that low, I will say. Just sort of stayed low, close to the bottom. Somewhat.
Bro, that's the way it needs to be for us. Bro, that's a blessing for us right now. Because, for one, it helps us stay grounded in pilgrims. And, bro, like, it's way easier to look forward to what is to come when what is not worth looking forward to at all.
Yeah. Give me Psalms 83. We'll talk a little bit about this. We've been mentioning different nations. Specifically, we've been mentioning Edom and Ishmael, but this is the only ones involved here.
Right. What's it called? We got receipts. We'll name names.
Yeah, that's right. Start with verse 1 in Psalms 83.
All right, 83 and verse 1.
And just to reference where we were just at in Judith, the context of that chapter is an Ammonite man, a so-called Japanese man, came to an Assyrian man, the Assyrian general of the ones trying to make Assyria great again, them original magas, Holofernes, and he's giving him counsel on how to go to war against the Israelites. That's what Achior was doing for Holofernes. He's saying, look, I know that their God is a true God. Do not try to fight them if their God is fighting for them. You will lose. I've seen it too many times.
Right. Not only has he seen it, but also the records we have written of it.
Yeah.
And not only us, but, bro, just look throughout all civilizations of history, there is a telling of some sort of the flood.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you there's a telling of some sort of whenever a God brought a people out of Egypt.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
wants to keep that a secret. If you go through like the, if you go through actually, and this is the case with all the other nations, all the surrounding nations of Israel, especially. They don't want to talk about any times they were embarrassed, any times they were
Oh
shut
yeah, yeah,
down, but they'll talk
yeah.
about any exploits that they had over Israel.
Absolutely, brother. That's why, because that's their claim to fame.
Yes, exactly. And I'm
That's their,
telling you, dude, that's what I've discovered looking into these different archaeological records is that, the Moabites, because they have a whole Moab stele. That's what they call like these big obelisks that these ancient
yeah.
nations used to make and they used to write stuff on, is the
Yep.
stele. And they found a Moabite stele. It only talks about their triumph over the house of David, not
Right.
David, but his children.
Right, exactly.
And the same thing with Shishak in Egypt. Shoshank is what they call him these days.
Okay.
Only ever talked about the Israelites whenever he came through the land and defeated Rehoboam. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same way for all the surrounding nations. They only talk about the Israelites whenever they come up and defeat them.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Because why, bro? That's literally the only way they got in the position they're in.
Yes.
Also, that's the only way that they can ever, that's the only story they could ever tell to where they look any sort of good.
Yeah, exactly. And mysteriously, anything that talks about them losing a battle against the Israelites or them being conquered by the God of Israel, nope, that's not in there. We're not talking about that. Like Sennacherib, for example. I think it was Sennacherib. Could have been a different Assyrian king, but I believe it was Sennacherib. It records everything he ever done except when he went to Jerusalem. Everything,
Right.
everything except for that part. He got embarrassed and shut down.
Exactly. That's how it is, though. But think about Esau now, bro. They not only make themselves Jesus and the Most High, but, bro, you think they out telling motherfuckers about Leviathan or any power that might be greater than theirs? Of course not. You know why? Because that's them admitting to there's something out there that deserves to be served more we do.
Yeah.
And
But yeah, man.
the
Of course,
pride
when you read the history and the scriptures, though, the scriptures will tell you all of it. It'll talk about all the exploits of Israel when it was in righteousness and doing well, and it'll talk about all the times where we were not. And it'll give the reasons for it. Huh?
It gives our triumph. It gives our triumphs and our failures throughout history.
That's right. So that's why we say that the Bible is the only true history source. Man. All the rest of this.
And it's the only book, brother, with multiple parts throughout it. You could say what is true, and will be true.
That's right.
And whether somebody wants to say anecdotal or not, like, bro, how the Most High deals with me directly. I'm talking about, like, as far as consequential.
Absolutely. But you got in Psalms 83?
Yeah. All right. Start verse 1.
Yep.
All right. Psalms 83 and 1. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God.
Be not still, O God. All right. Asaph is saying, God, wake up. All right. Read.
Right. Do something.
Do something. Show your power.
All right. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head.
They
have taken crafty.
Yeah.
Right.
They that hate God have gotten proud. All right. Read verse 3.
They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and against thy hidden ones.
Right. So just like in the days of Judith, when Holofernes was trying to step up and he had Achior trying to give him some good counsel, you have these other nations today, doesn't matter who it is, and we're about to get into the list of names, that they have these councils, these think tanks on how they're going to cut off God's people.
Right.
All right. Keep reading.
All right. They have said, come and cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance.
So that's them Arab paramilitary over there in Sudan saying, come, let us cut off these Mazalit, that they be no more a nation.
Right. And bro, just think about how they had to put in that article also about it being some kind of tied to the homeland. Like, bro, they
Yeah.
didn't have to mention that. And so the key word of slave.
Man,
Like, bro, that's
there's
letting you
so
know
much things
the
in there that we didn't even necessarily even get to, but talking about how all the women and the children were, raped and assaulted, right? Talking
right.
about things like that. And like you said, how they called them slaves and all that kind of stuff. Goes back to Deuteronomy 28 that we didn't even necessarily get a chance to get into it just yet,
Right. But, bro, that's any persecution, bro. Like, you can hit so many other curses.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so keep going.
Yeah.
But I was about to tell you, bro, this how beautiful this is, how I constructed it, and has it to this day. Like, people try to say it's man wrote and all this kind of crap, whatever. All right, they it said they have consulted against thy hidden ones, and and then in the very next verse, it tells you how they went about making us the hidden ones.
That's right. That's right.
Cool.
Cutting off the name of Israel, giving different names to the same people.
Right, and that's how we become hidden.
That's how we become hidden.
We don't even.
Man, that started back. That started back with the Greeks,
Right.
because most peoples were still going by their name that was God given before the Greeks stepped up. Like the Phoenicians didn't call themselves Phoenicians; they called themselves Canaan or Canaanites. Same with Egyptians. They didn't call themselves Egyptians; they called themselves Kemet or Cum, which is Ham.
Yeah, Ham. Yep.
But then when the Greeks came, the Ethiopians called themselves Cush. But then when the Greeks stepped up, they said, "No, you're not Canaan no more. You're Phoenicians. You're not Canaan no more. You're Egypt. You're not Cush no more. You're Ethiops." You know what I'm saying? Like they're the ones who did that. Who started it.
But I'm saying, like, what does the Bible tell you though? They changed what? Names, times, everything.
Yep.
Like power.
And laws.
And like they flipped the world upside down. But that lets you know right there, they was working on this very prophecy and conspiracy of Esau getting in power.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's the council. That's the council.
Right.
Crafty council.
Bro, they've been fulfilling that prophecy through multiple Edomite empires.
That's right. All throughout time. And we see it's not just the Edomites. Keep reading on that.
Right, of course. All right, let's see. For they have consulted together with one consent, they are confederate against thee.
All the other nations, specifically these, are confederate against God and his people.
Right. All right, verse 6. The tabernacles of Edom and
the
ISHMAEL'S.
Edom, called Europeans or Caucasians, so-called white people. That's Edom. Read.
All right. And the Ishmaelites.
The Ishmaelites, that's the Arabs that we're reading about in Sudan, who's trying to wipe out the Masalite. That's why we keep calling them the Ishmaelites. All right?
Right.
Read.
Of Moab.
Right, Moab takes a close third, because they're trying to take over the world now by doing those things. They've been doing things in South Asia, but by doing things in Africa and South America now, they're trying to take over the world with their whole BRICS thing.
Right, and they're trying the more honey instead of vinegar approach.
Yeah, they used to be vinegar. They would
the roads
talk about the Asian slave trade, but that's a real slave trade that happened as well.
Right, and it's probably been going on just as long, if not longer, than Ishmael.
Around the same, because Ishmael, they were buying the Israelites from Ishmael. So
exactly.
It's the same time.
Who do you think that Ishmael was carrying them to?
Yeah.
Just keep going east.
Yeah.
And there you go.
And
but I've been say something. Oh yeah. They used to be the vinegar. You know, America come through with the peace and destroy many, but now the roles have flipped. Where everybody knows America's Satan. So now Russia and Moab is playing the ones with the honey.
Yeah. It's just good
to South America and Africa and all that kind of stuff.
Just a couple hill and face turns.
Bro. Like I say, There you go. There you go. It was a
Yeah,
double turn. What you call it? Same coin, just two sides, same coin.
exactly, exactly. So we got white people, Arabs, the Chinese. Keep reading.
All right, and the Hagarenes.
The Hagarenes are Egyptians. Hagar was an Egyptian woman.
Right.
That's where she got her name from. Was the term Hagarenes.
Okay.
Right?
See, I wondered that because I wonder if that was tied with Hagar or not. But that burns it there.
Yeah, yeah, it's the same thing.
All right, Gebal and
Gibon
Ammon.
is those Africans. All right, those Africans who were selling the Israelites onto the slave ships that white people come and got. That's
Right,
Gibal.
like in Dahomey.
Yes, like in Dahomey. Also Fort Judah. You
Right.
had the slave coast. They call that whole
Isle
coast the
of
slave
Saint
coast.
Therese. The
Huh?
Isle of Saint Therese.
Yes,
I said
all
the
of that,
Isle of
all of them,
Saint Therese.
all them places, Benin, all of them.
Yeah. And Ammon.
Ammon, that's your Japanese. Achior, that we was just reading about, giving that speech in Judith.
Right.
He was Ammon.
Yep.
Mhm.
Japanese. And Amalek.
Amalek, that's your so-called Jewish, the executive producers when it comes to these movies, and the executive agents and managers when it comes to these record companies.
Yep. And brother, also them Israelis.
Yes, Israeli, same. And
I bet you a lot
a lot of the
of these
slaves in general were paid for
right,
by Jewish families.
guys.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Amalekite.
The themselves was paid for and provided by fake Jews. So, bro, I guarantee you a bunch of them shot callers in Ukraine are Amalek.
Probably.
The
They're
ones that didn't go back.
they might hate me for this as far as like Facebook and YouTube, but when it comes to like them Rothschild family, they orchestrated like all the wars since World War One. So played both sides
Bro, wait before that, bro. Since before Napoleon,
since
the
before
damn
Napoleon.
yeah, bro. They started in the 1600s.
Dang, I can believe it,
The
but
damn
I only know since World War One. They basically did that to see if they could, and then everything since then.
yeah, bro. Like I'm saying, that was the patriarch that started with the money and the currency and the he's the one who first said he provided product to both sides in a battle, and this was in the 1600s, and like it escalated with his sons and his sons, his sons, all the way through the Napoleonic Wars. Bro, they had time over war. They was on both sides. The British American War, the French Indian War. Bro, you, you know, way
All of them.
back, all that, bro. Red Shield, Rothschild.
Yeah, yeah, I know what Rothschild means, but
All right, there you.
but yeah, pick
That's
up on that.
wild.
Yeah, yeah,
The Philistines or Philistines
yeah. The
with the inhabitants
Philistines
of
are
Tyre.
those ethnic Sudanese, not the Mazalit tribe, and there's probably a couple other Israelite tribes there, but the ethnic Sudanese, those tall ones, those are the Philistines.
Right. All
Those
right.
who's one the bowls, the Manute bowl, the
Yeah.
bowl. That's your Philistines.
Bowl. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
bowl. All right. With the inhabitants of Tyre.
Kyrie, that would be your Phoenicians, the same as the Gabal, some of those North and West Africans.
Right. Different sons of Ham.
Yes, different sons of Ham.
All right. Ashur also is joined with them.
Yeah, I wanted to get to Ashur because that is that Holofernes that we were reading about in Judah, and it's also the Sennacherib who was, killing all those Israelites that Tobit had to bury. That's Ashur. The Kurds today.
Yeah. Was that around Turkey?
The Kurds, the Assyrians, they're carved up. You know what I'm saying? And when the Middle East was carved up, they're one of the ones who kind of suffered from that. They're still in the Mesopotamian region, like in Iraq mainly, but partially Turkey and Iran, because they carved
Right.
up that whole region.
Right. just like the what you call it? It's another group, the Armenians.
Yeah, the Armenians. That's the Medes. That's what that goes back
The Medes,
to.
okay.
That's the Medes.
Yeah. Right. And then like you got what you call it? Yeah, because remember I told you I think that's what Patrick Bet David is Armenian, Assyrian, and they call him Persian. Well,
Well,
I guess
see,
the Edomite co-host.
yeah, you saying they don't know until they call him Persian?
No, with him being half Assyrian, half Armenian, I'm guessing like they just joke on him saying he's a very, very rich Persian because he had a insurance company worth all his fucking money and stuff.
Well, yeah, the Medes linked up with the Persians to form that
Right, exactly.
empire. But yeah, the Persians, that's your Iranian, that's your Elamites.
Right. I think he's from Iran. Like he was a refugee, like as a child.
Well, when you talk about like Armenia, you start and you talk about the Medes, you start talking about like northeast Turkey, you start talking about Armenia, you start talking about like North Iran. You know what I'm saying? All that's carved up.
Right.
So
Like going to like Eastern Europe.
not
Kind
all
of
the way
sort of.
up there. You got the Caucasus Mountains as a divider between Russia and
Yeah.
the Middle East.
Right.
Yeah, finish out that verse.
All right, let's see. And they have hope in the children of light.
Yeah, so
Say
they
Lot.
helped the Ammonites and the Moabites. That's the children of Lot. The Assyrians helped the Asians.
I got a piece.
And we're just about to close out. Who's this? Here. I see you, Dr. Caesar. I see you. Don't worry, bro. Don't worry. But yeah, we talked about all these different nations, and now we're going to talk about their judgment. All right. Jumping down to verse 17, where it says, "Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish." All these nations that come against God and his people, they will be confounded and troubled forever. They will be put to shame and they will perish. They will perish in that great day of judgment. All right. Verse pick up with verse 17.
You just read there, where? Verse 17?
Yeah.
Yeah. I got you. Okay. Verse 17. Let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yeah, let them be put to shame and perish.
Right. That's the judgment that will come on these nations that come against the Lord. All right.
Right.
So keep reading.
Yeah. That men may know that thou, whose name alone is Jehovah or Yahweh, art the most high over all the earth.
Yeah. You can read it as it is. I mean, Yahweh, Jehovah, Yahuwah, Yahweh.
Yeah.
WH. People say whatever they want to as far as the name, but the point is, God is the only one. As far as he is the only most high. It is the only God where you can say he is. That's what the name means. That's what YWH means. That's what Jehovah means. Yahweh, that's what it means. It means he is, meaning he is the beginning, the end.
Right.
He is everything. All right.
Before he even thought about creating anything, bro. He is.
He is.
Right now, he is. And 1,000.
Yes, he is, he was, and
years,
he is to come.
He is.
Yes.
Right.
He is, he was, and he is to come. All right. And he is the only God, the most high over all the earth. All right. So you got anything you want to add to that? If not, we'll close out with the benediction.
No, that about wraps it up in a bow, bro. Guess we can get the benediction.
Yeah, so all praises to the Most High that we have the understanding that we do, that we made it to enough. All praises to the Lord that we are in those last days, and he is returning soon.
Absolutely, bro. And like me and Hannah was just reading in Revelation 3 that it says, those who do not watch he will come upon thee as a thief.
Mm-hmm.
So constantly watch so you can see him coming. And not
That's right.
like
That's
literally,
why.
because we will all literally see him coming. But
Right. But that's
pay
why.
attention, know what's going on.
That's why I went into the lesson that I did tonight, because I had seen something earlier this week, but I didn't get a chance to read the article until I was looking at it just a little bit earlier, because I didn't really know what I wanted to bring out tonight. But
Right.
I seen where it's, the people there are coming at the end of days. I'm like, yeah, we need to
Yeah,
touch on that.
right. And like that may be part of the prophecy that Second Ezra goes into, as far as the Second Inquisition. They might have been keeping some law, was somewhat tied to the homeland, shit like that. I
Well,
said, hell
we've
no.
talked about here we've talked about it on here before, whereas we talked about the differences between Christianity and Islam, and in a
Right.
lot of cases, Islam is a little closer to what God wants you to do. They just don't recognize Jesus, which they can't be saved because they don't recognize Jesus, but they keep laws, they keep commandments. So.
Right. It's the difference in Ishmael not being I mean, he couldn't help it. He was a bastard. You know what I'm saying? That's how I see Ishmael's bastardized version, which is Islam. Just like just think about the difference in what Esau has done with Christianity. How it's everything anti-laws, everything anti-Most High, anti-Christ.
Yeah.
To whereas
Everything.
Ishmael he's just a bastard son.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. With Esau, he tries to make himself God.
Right.
With Ishmael, he
Right.
tries to serve God.
Right, exactly. But like he wasn't the chosen seed. That don't
Right,
mean that they
exactly.
don't want to be.
And Ishmael, of course, is following a false prophet. That is
Exactly.
Muhammad.
Exactly. All right. So here we go. Matthew 26:6.
Yeah. Before
Now when
you even
Jesus
read
was
that, before you read that, just one last thing that I do want to mention on the same topic. In Wisdom of Solomon, when it goes into idolatry, there's like 2 or 3 chapters that's like just on idolatry in Wisdom
right,
of Solomon.
because
And
is that where it talks
and
about
one
is
of
the
those
first
chapters,
last?
huh?
What you're talking during the chapters is that where it talks about it being idolatry being the first sin and the last?
Yeah. The beginning and end
Yeah.
of spiritual fornication. That's what you're talking about. But as I was
Right.
saying, in one of those chapters, I forget which one, but he said idolatry has a resemblance to godliness because at least they're trying. You know what I'm saying? At least they're
Right.
devout. And he said that's one of the lesser of the sins. Still worthy to be punished, but it's not as
Hell yeah.
bad as somebody who is their own God, as somebody who wants or who has no form of godliness. You know what I mean?
Right. Just because they were incorrectly taught of a false god is
Yeah.
way better than you proclaiming and living as God.